So I have something to teach you that's really important. I know you know how to pray, but I'm going to teach you how to pray better, okay? Because the one thing that we need to be able to do well in our lives and improve on and get better and better and better at is soccer. What? No, is cooking. That would be a little better. Praying. That's it. Oh, sometimes I forget what I'm supposed to do. Do you ever forget to? Yeah, you do. What you're supposed to do. So I'm going to teach you how to pray better and better and better, okay? So you say, well, Father, what good are you at teaching people to pray? Or you would say, you don't understand how children pray. I'm going to tell everybody part of my secret, okay? I can pick up any baby and they won't cry. People can't say that. And if you don't believe me, just watch. There aren't that many babies around, but when there are babies around, so on Thursday night, there were 2 babies in the room, both of whom I picked up. And neither one of them cried until they were ready to cry. After about a half hour, one of them started to cry, and I took her back to her mother and I said, I cannot fix this. Because she wanted to eat, right? And so I couldn't, but I knew what she was saying. But before that, and for a while, I can pick up any baby. And some people are surprised by it. I mean, I was surprised by it too. But I had figured out one thing. Did you know that babies want to pray? It's the most wonderful thing, really. It's the most wonderful thing when you figure that out. The little babies want to pray. And you say, oh, well, that's silly. And that's why when you pick them up, they cry. But I figured out I wasn't trying to make them like me. I wasn't trying to be the most comfortable or the most loving person that had ever picked them up. My job was to teach them how to pray and pray better because they want to pray. When God brings them into the world, He gives them this little desire in their hearts so that they want to pray. And the same is true of you. As we get older, we disguise it many things. We say, oh no, I don't want to pray, I want to play. Well, of course you do want to play, but you also want to pray. Your heart wants to pray. You say, I want to eat, I want to go to school, I want to be with my friends, I want to watch TV, I want to do this, fine. So you understand some of the things you want, but people don't understand that they want to pray. Okay. So the first lesson, because I know you're already not paying attention to me. So you got that thing and then okay, so the first thing about praying is that you have to open your heart. Now it sounds easy and you very often people, they just start talking to God. That's step number 2. But step number 2 only works if you do step number 1. And step number 1 is, anybody want to help Easton, who has already fallen asleep, even though his eyes are open? He's like a frog. That other film goes with it. Open your heart. Oh, yeah. You just told me that. So you have to open your heart, okay? So that means you just say to God, I'm opening my heart now so that you can come in and I'll talk to you in my heart. Because that's where God wants to talk to you, in your heart, right? So you say, I'm opening my heart. Now, you can talk to Him wherever. That's fine. But you might not be able to hear what He says to you if you don't open your heart, because He needs to be very, very close to you, because Most of the time, he whispers things. And so you have to open your heart. People say that all the time. Big people say that all the time. I don't hear God. He doesn't talk to me. Well, because you have to open your heart. And you have to ask him to come into your heart. Now you guys know it. And so you can get better at it for the rest of your lives. Step number 2, Callie, is talk to him. Okay? This is the funny part because Jesus says this all the time. He says, oh, they talk to me all the time. Callie talks to me all the time. And Jesus is like, that is delightful, right? When you talk to Jesus. It's actually one of the things he wants us to do. And he told us, tell me everything. Tell me everything. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you like to do. Tell me what you need. Tell me the people you want me to help. So you can do all of those things, right? We do it all the time. Dear Jesus, I need $100. Please get it for me. And he hears you, and he's like, I will if I can, and if it's good for you, right? So he hears everything we tell him, okay? How many steps do you think there are to this thing of learning how to pray? Thousands, yeah. Well, you'll be happy to know there are only 3. Only 3 steps. The first step is beautiful, very nice. The second step is talk to God. Yeah. Now that would be fine. I could leave it there, except God would not be happy with me. You know why he wouldn't be happy with me? He would say, Peter, because he calls me Peter. He would, because that's my name. But he doesn't call me Father. Well, sometimes he calls me Father Peter, but usually it's Peter, yeah. Because he's my big boss. And so, anyway, that's a little different. But anyway, he said, you have to tell them the third step. The third step is really, really important. I know each step is important, and each step is beautiful and powerful. So opening your heart. Too many people forget how to do that. So then the second step, talk to God. We all know that, right? All these wonderful people, they talk to God often, and they'll say that to me too. They're like, Father, I talk to God all the time. Like, okay. But I know there are 3 steps. and if you're only doing step number 2, I'm trying to build this up so that you're eager and excited to learn what step number 3 is. I'm not sure what this whole thing was. I'm pretty sure you were saying to me, just tell us what step number 3 is. All right. Now, this is where all the joy comes in, okay? So there is joy in opening your heart. Sometimes it's difficult when we have a lot of emotions, when we're angry, when we're impatient, when we want what we want, when we know what we want, right? And sometimes it's really hard to open our hearts. It's hard to open our hearts when we've been hurt, too. There are a lot of people that have been hurt, and they won't open their hearts to God because they've been hurt. I'll tell you this now, that if your heart hurts and it's been broken, that's okay. Because his heart hurt and it was broken. And so if we can say when we have a heart that's hurt and broken, if we can say, I give this to you, Jesus, because your heart was broken and your heart hurt. Boom. Then we love like God loves. We're right close to God. We're like that. We're like that with God. Right? So even if our hearts hurt, that's okay. We should still pray. But we have to open our hearts to God. And then we talk. And so the last step, they all know because they're older. They all know that you have to listen. And that's where the joy comes. The joy comes when you listen to God. Right? Because if all you ever did was, God, I want this, God, I want that, God, I want that, da, 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 da. Even your parents tell you, is this true? Is this true? Even your parents tell you, be quiet and listen to me. Right? Do they say that? Yeah, they're kind of nodding their head. They don't want to admit that in church. Why not? Do you tell that to Callie? Stop and listen to me. Right? Jesus is trying to teach you through your parents, Easton. He's trying to teach you an important lesson through your parents. You can't just go bop, 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 bop. We let babies in church just go bop, 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 right? And we all say that's nice. But when you get older, we say to the baby, stop. Stop. You know better. Stop just going bop, 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 bop. Right? Because they don't listen. One of the things, that's why when I hold a baby, I teach them how to pray. I'm teaching them how to listen. Right? Sometimes I give them a voice so that they can speak to God, but they have a beautiful voice, but lots of times I'm teaching them how to listen, and they calm down, right? And I'm not focusing on the baby, that's the thing. I'm focusing on God. And so me and the baby are talking to God, right? So me and you this morning, we're not going to be looking at each other. I mean, okay, every once in a while we look. I'm looking at you now. But our hearts are going to be looking at God, right? And that's the most important thing. And God says to us, listen. So you have to be still and quiet, open, and your heart is open, and you're listening to God. That's where all the joy comes in. Then God says things to you like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Those are really nice. When you have a problem and you can't fix it, and God says to you, don't worry, I'll take care of it, that's joy. Right? Or if you say, God, I hurt so much. And he says to you, and then you open your heart and you listen, and he says to you, I'll take that pain. We say, Jesus, you have so much pain. He says, it's okay, because I love you. I'll take that pain. That's a beautiful thing to hear too, and that just fills you with joy. And then so often, when you're quiet and you learn how to be quiet, he says to you, I love you. And sometimes when he says, I love you, you go, oh. And other times when he says, I love you, it's like he fills you with strength. And you say, well, if you love me, I can do anything. So remember 3 steps, and the joy comes when you listen.